Good morning, gang. Happy Thursday morning. About 4 o'clock in the morning. And yeah, I'm up real early. Been up since about 1:45. Don't know what happened last night. We had a middle of the night, probably somewhere around midnight. All of a sudden, there was a huge crash. And one of our bathroom mirrors that's hung like a picture, so on the wire picture frame that's probably been hung there for 12 years since the house was built, fell off the wall. Have no idea why. The wire wasn't broken, anything like that, but that woke me up. And of course, then I come downstairs and find the GFCI was tripped in the house. I'm like, something happened last night. I don't know what, but that's got me up early. So, was doing some research on this last night. Figured I'd record this today. Not 5 in the morning, not this early, but here I am. So Biden announced yesterday that he's going to send Ukraine 31 Abrams tanks, right? Okay. I still want to know if they're the old M1s or if they're the M1A1s or the M1A2s, okay? We got rid of or sent them a bunch of Bradley fighting vehicles because we're trying to phase them out. So is this our excuse to get rid of some of our old military equipment? Who knows? Okay. But even then, sending Abrams tanks to Ukraine raises a lot of eyebrows. But I want to raise them in a different direction here. Okay? Something nobody's talking about. Now, you guys got to understand, when I was in the Army, I was attached to the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment out of Fort Bliss, okay? Tankers, okay? I want to give you an idea how many tanks 31 tanks actually is. Right now, a cavalry squadron in an ACR, an Armored Cavalry Regiment, has 42 tanks. So we're smaller than a squadron. An armor battalion, okay, tanks, tank division type thing, okay, armor battalion has 42 tanks. So we're smaller than a squadron in a cav regiment. We're smaller than a battalion in armor. A troop in a cav squadron has 9 tanks. A tank company in an armor battalion has 14 tanks. Okay, troop and company are the same size, roughly. Right. So we're sending Ukraine the equivalent of about 2 to 3 companies or troops. That's it. Okay. I want to give you this as an idea. Y'all remember Desert Storm back in 1991? The so-called 100 Hours War? Want to guess how many Abrams tanks we had then? 1,848 tanks were deployed to Saudi Arabia to participate in the liberation of Kuwait. We're sending 31 to Ukraine. Just saying, okay? What's the difference another 1,800 tanks would mean? So Biden didn't even commit a full cav squadron or a full armor battalion to Ukraine. What difference is that going to make? I want you to get ready for this. Each Abrams tank cost about $9 million. So we sent $280 million worth of equipment to Ukraine, or are going to. And because it's $400 million that we've committed, that means about $120 million in spare parts and training. Now, just so you have an idea here, Russia has already destroyed 7,614 Ukrainian tanks. Now, regardless of who made them, okay, most of them are older Russian tanks, but there's other countries' tanks that have been destroyed as well. But 7,614 tanks. We're sending 31. Okay, and yes, I know Germany's sending tanks, and France is sending tanks, and England sending tanks. Yeah, we're talking hundreds. Russia's already destroyed 7,614. Now, so what will this get into? And I want to give you the facts on this first so you guys understand how silly this is and then what's actually going on. Now, the Abrams tank is undoubtedly the most superior tank in the world. No question. I mean, but you guys know this. No matter how good a piece of equipment is, If the people operating it don't know what they're doing, the tool is useless. Give a disassembled HK-416, okay, arguably the best military rifle in the world, to some Antifa soy boy and see how great that weapon performs. I guarantee he can't even put it together, okay? They don't know what they're doing with it. The weapon is useless. Now, like I said before, I served in the 3rd ACR. So I served with a bunch of tankers. I trained a bunch of tankers on prisoner handling and interrogation and all that sort of stuff. Okay. So I got to see these guys in action a lot. Not in combat, but in training, which is basically training for combat. Okay. Those guys knew their shit. They could make those tanks dance. All right. They trained constantly. The amount of field exercises those guys did was ridiculous. Now, a tanker will spend 9 weeks in AIT, Advanced Individual Training, to become a 19 kilo. That's 2 months plus, day in, day out training on that tank. So in order for a Ukrainian soldier to become a crew member, entry level, okay, you need 2 months plus just to train them to get them qualified. They haven't learned strategy on how to tweak the tank for sure, maybe some of the maintenance, whatever it would be. And I want you to remember, an Abrams has a 4-man crew. You got a TC, tank commander, okay, a gunner, a loader, and a driver. 9 weeks and you're going to make some guy a tank commander? Right, that's going to happen, okay. Go that way. Sure, okay. Right now, it's estimated that Russia has 12,400 tanks in Ukraine. That's 400 times as many tanks as Joe is sending in the way of Abrams tanks. Okay, as good as the Abrams tank is, it ain't taking out 400 tanks apiece. Okay, like I said, yeah, I know they're getting Leopards and everything like that too, but those are not as good as the Abrams. So even saying. So let's say even if the Leopards and the other tanks all take out something, each one of those Abrams is expected to take out 300 tanks. I don't care how good the crew is, okay? Ain't taking out 300 tanks. Just not happening, okay? But so everybody says we're sending spare parts, right? If the tank gets hit or whatever it would be, we'll fix it, okay? I don't think spare parts are going to be real useful because these tanks are going to be destroyed in days, right? 31. Okay. Typically, about 15 to 20% of tanks, when they're hit, are just a total loss. They're completely destroyed. So what's going to happen? Those tanks are going to go over to Ukraine after 2 months of training that you get the guys to the bare bones minimum to know how to shoot the thing and move it. Okay. The tanks are going to get destroyed. What's Zelensky going to do? He's going to ask for more. Many more. Okay. The U.S. would have to send somewhere upwards of 500 tanks to be effective. That would be $4.5 billion worth of tanks. And good luck finding and training enough people to be crew members. To give you an idea how many tanks that is, right? The U.S. has 4,400 M1A1 or M1A2 tanks. That's what we have. Okay. The two countries outside with the most M1s are the Egyptian army with 1,360 and the Saudis with 370. So a necessary allotment of tanks for Ukraine would be more than the second largest foreign country has. Just saying. Okay. Now, we all know what Zelensky's wish is. He wants all this armament for free. At least to him. It's costing you and me. Okay. How many of these tanks or any other weapons are eventually going to be used against us? Gee, if, and I know a lot of people don't know, the reactive armor that is on an M1 tank, the crews are told if the tank is disabled to walk away and don't look back because the armor that's on the tank is top secret. Okay, they don't want the crew to know what it is. All it takes is one of those tanks to fall into Russian hands, Chinese hands, whatever, and be reverse engineered. Okay? So this is the other thing. And don't tell me that, oh, gee, the Ukrainians are going to take good care of our assets. Hell, 70% of the weapons we sent have already wound up in the hands of gangs around the world through arms dealers, right? I mean, we are talking the most corrupt country in the world, okay? So these weapons are eventually going to, or the technology, one of the two, is eventually going to be used against us. Do you really trust Ukraine? Okay, mark my words, Zelensky's going to ask for more. And then when China invades Taiwan and we get involved there, what do we have left? Nothing. And that's exactly Washington's plan to destroy us, okay? Because now, as you guys say all the time, gee, the Chinese are down in Central America. The Russians are down in Central America. Hello, Mexico, excuse us, we're coming through. Okay. Now to give you this. Yesterday, German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock stated, and I'm going to give you the quote here. This is her quote. And therefore, I've said already in the last days, yes, we have to do more to defend Ukraine. Yes, we have to do more also on tanks. But the most important and the critical part is that we do it together and that we do not do the blame game in Europe, because we are fighting a war against Russia and not against each other. Did you hear that? Okay. So we're fighting a war against Russia? I thought Ukraine was. Hell, Russia's not even calling it a war. It's a special military operation. Okay. Now it's a war? Someone might want to let Congress know. Okay. You know, that one of our allies has said that we are at war. And per Article 5, that means we're at war, guys. That's what this woman came out and said. Now, she doesn't have the authority to declare war or anything like that, but engage brain before putting mouth in gear, dumbass. Okay? Cooler heads out there need to prevail. No question. Okay? Brains, having balls is one thing, but you got to have the brains to back it up. Okay? Russia's not going to surrender, no matter what we send over there, because they now see this as us versus the world. Okay, meaning Russia versus the world. It's funny how every time Zelensky demands something, the West and the U.S. oblige, right? Okay. Someone please tell me what some non-allied, non-NATO, non-EU country has on the West so that they can dictate what two other continents worth of countries can do. Oh yeah, that's right. Ukraine is the money laundromat of the world, and politicians still need to be able to fleece their citizens. So what we have going on is Zelensky has kind of come in and said, remember, most corrupt country in the world, okay, saying either I get some of this, or I'm going to blow the whistle, or I'm going to blow up the world. Okay, Zelensky wants his 10% to the big guy too. All 31 tanks does is poke the bear. It's going to make no difference in Kyiv. It's going to make no difference in Lugansk. It's going to make no difference in Donetsk, okay? But it's going to make a huge difference in Moscow. In Moscow, they look at this as a threat. And remember, just a couple of days ago, we're only 90 seconds to midnight, right? And Biden just asked Putin to be Cinderella, okay? And to think, 40 years ago, the Democrats were screaming that Reagan was going to lead us into a war with Russia.